We've always defined ourselves by the ability to overcome the impossible, and we count these moments. These moments when we dare to aim higher, to break barriers, to reach for the stars, to make the unknown known. We count these moments as our proudest achievements, and that our greatest accomplishments cannot be behind us, because our destiny lies above us. This quote was by Cooper in the movie Interstellar. Folks, do you remember how you felt during those moments when the odds were stacked against you? Have you ever felt the hand that you were dealt with left you with very few options? What can you do in those moments when you have to miraculously create something out of nothing? There's another quote I want to share. Man often becomes what he believes himself to be. If I keep on saying to myself that I cannot do a certain thing, it is possible that I may end by really becoming incapable of doing it. On the contrary, if I have the belief that I can do it, I shall surely acquire the capability to do it even if I may not have it at the beginning. This quote was by Gandhi. In today's episode, I'm going to dive into the world of how to make the impossible possible. There's a really unique equation I want to share. 1 plus 1 equals infinity. Now, how is that possible? When the world defines 1 plus 1 equals 2, how does 1 plus 1 equals infinity? Stay tuned to find out. Let's cue the intro. Welcome to the Boom Vision Podcast. I'm your host, Benjamin Ye. This show is about how you can thrive. It's when you build success in alignment with your mind, body, and soul. I created this podcast to give you perspectives and frameworks on how to strengthen your mindset and gain clarity in your purpose. It's time for you to live an extraordinary life with vision that you design. Let's get to work. Hi folks, welcome back to episode 27 of the Boom Vision Podcast. Throughout your life, whether you're an entrepreneur or building your career, you've probably encountered situations where you felt that the odds were just stacked against you. Either the probability of winning was slim, or that you just wasn't able to see the path of success. What do you do in those moments? There's a quote I want to share. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. This quote was by Theodore Roosevelt. Folks, I wanted to share today's topic with you because my son this past weekend reminded me the power of belief. You see, in our household, we have the saying that anything is possible, and we always put an infinity sign next to the statement. We have it posted on our refrigerator door, and I have this sign right next to my office desk. When I took my son to the farmer's market towards the last hour before it closed, we walked through the market and this one vendor was selling strawberries before they were closing shop. Now, usually it's $12 for a tray of 3 baskets, but they were selling it for $5 because they were about to close. Now, at first glance, when I saw the strawberries that were left over, it was smaller in size and some of it was bruised, so I wasn't motivated to buy it. But when my son saw this, he said, "Dad, that's a great deal." And then I was telling my son, "Well, the strawberries are smaller and some of it were bruised. Do you see that?" And then he replied saying, "That's okay. Those will be great to make strawberry slushies. $5 a great deal, Dad. Anything is possible, right?" And when I heard this, it really warmed my heart because wow, yeah, you are right. And I want to encourage that. So we bought the strawberries. And so that incident really inspired me to share this topic with you today. And so before we dive into today's topic, let me first share the concept of set point. What is set point? So on a day-to-day basis, our mind and body has a natural set point. Set point is what I define as the regular rhythm that you naturally default to. This has to do with your daily habits, your daily eating habits, etc. Your natural set point is the quote-unquote normal set of actions that you take in your physical, mental, and spiritual practice on a daily basis. So an example would be if you average, let's say, 3,000 steps a day, that's equivalent to about a little over a mile a day. That would be your natural set point in terms of exercise. If you have a habit of listening to one podcast episode a day, let's say during your morning commute, that would be your natural set point in terms of what you do to nourish your mind on a daily basis. The best analogy to share what a set point symbolizes is a rubber band. When a rubber band is laying on a table without any expansion, its current state is its natural set point. And so the main takeaway of this topic of set point is that in order for you to expand your natural set point, you need to expand outside your natural comfort zone. This requires you to stretch and push against some resistance in order to be expansive. Now, the equation 1 + 1 = infinity. Now, how is this possible, right? We learned in school that 1 + 1 = 2. But what does it mean that 1 + 1 = infinity? Let me explain. The first one is believe. It starts with believing that you can. And so I'd like to share a story here. Prior to 1954, all the athletes believed that running a mile less than 4 minutes was physically impossible. For many years, so many athletes have tried and failed to run a mile less than 4 minutes because people believed that it was physically impossible. And then what happened was, on May 6, 1954, an athlete named Roger Bannister broke that 4-minute mile barrier that was previously conceived as impossible. He ran it in 3 minutes, 59.4 seconds. It was a monumental human achievement because prior to that, no one believed it was possible. And you know what? The second person to actually break that 4-minute mile was a gentleman named John Landy. He ran it in June 21st, 1954, just 46 days after Roger Bannister broke that record. Now really think about that. For years, decades, centuries, people believed the mile could not be run under 4 minutes. But once Roger Bannister showed the world that it was possible, once that belief registered in people's mind, it can be done. 46 days later, John Landy did it again. 46 days later, after decades and centuries of no one breaking that record. That's the power of belief. Now, the second one is action. You have to take actions that expands your set point. Remember the quote I said earlier, believe you can and you're halfway there. That was by Theodore Roosevelt. And it's true, that represents the first one. The second half, how you get the full way there, is you've got to take action. In order to create the impossible, you need to expand on what you feel and think is possible. If you want to shoot a rubber band across the room, it won't go anywhere unless you expand the set point, right? You have to be able to pull it back, create that resistance in order to propel it forward to where you aim to go. In the same token, by expanding your imagination, your inner voice, your intuition, then taking action in order to make that progress forward, that's what it takes to create that new possibility. And so the main takeaway I want to share of the equation 1 + 1 = infinity is that new possibilities are endless if you apply this equation in your life. So what is the main takeaway for today's episode? Before you get caught up in making the impossible possible, what is your vision? Are you running a marathon? Are you running a half marathon? Or are you running a 5K? Are you going for speed or are you going for distance? Keep in mind, there is no right or wrong answer. What's most important is to do what your heart truly desires. Everyone has a different test in their lifetime. Someone else's answers may not work for you because we're all taking a different test. My recommendation is that you need to be clear of your vision, because if you desire to run a marathon, A, you need to believe that you can do it. Then B, you need to take action steps that correlate with that vision. You cannot use language and action at the 5K level if you ultimately want to run the marathon. You'll need to incrementally train up from the 5K, 10K, half marathon, full marathon during your practice, your training, and your language. But if you're stuck in the vicious cycle of running only the 5K, energetically, metaphorically, and your internal belief system, you'll be stuck in that lower gear, making it practically impossible to truly run that marathon level caliber. So with that said, what is this week's action steps? This week, it's the BIAS method, B-I-A-S. As a reminder, what is the BIAS method? B stands for breathe. Take a deep breath. Calm yourself with a method that works for you in order for you to quiet that wind tunnel, your adrenaline, your emotions. Remember the breathwork exercise, the 1-minute breathwork exercise that I've created. That can make it really simple for you in a situation to take a deep breath. Now, I'll include a link in the show notes where you can download the 1-minute breathwork exercise to make it really simple for you. So B stands for breathe. I stands for identify. Identify what is your vision. What is your goal? Are you looking to go there faster, or are you looking to go far in this next chapter in your life? Identify one new possibility in your life that would make your heart feel happy and full. The key here is that it doesn't have to be big and grand. Size does not matter here. What matters is that something that you want to do that you may have previously felt it was impossible. How would you redefine your inner rubber band? How would you want to expand that natural set point? What is something right outside your personal best record that by achieving that new goal, that new vision, would make you feel happy and blissful? Identify it. A stands for assess. Assess the set point that you're currently at and the language you're currently using. If your vision is to run a marathon, is the language resonating at the same level? Or are you using 5K level? Is your current set point in the daily habits consistent with the vision you've identified? Or is there a gap? S stands for solutions. What are the solution-oriented actions that you can take to consistently help you expand your set point? What is one step forward to achieving your vision that you aim to accomplish in your life? What are the low-hanging fruits that are actions that you can immediately implement in your life to expand your set point that create that instant win in your life? If you've never ran a marathon in your life, let alone half a marathon or even the 10K, you just need to take that first step today and build on it. You don't need to run 5 miles when your natural set point might be only 3,000 steps, 1 mile. All you need to do is build on it incrementally to expand and reset what is your daily set point in life. If you make that 1% incremental improvement on a daily basis, you're going to be 3x the amount of improvement by the year end. You just have to be consistent. And so, final thoughts for today's episode. There's a quote I want to share. A truly strong person does not need the approval of others any more than a lion needs the approval of a sheep. This quote was by Vernon Howard. Folks, I hope by introducing today's new equation that you have a better understanding of the power of belief, coupled with the right actions. You don't need validation from others to affirm what's true within you. You just need to believe it for yourself and start taking that step. The key is shifting your relationship and perception on how you encounter and react to resistance. Motivation is never constant. There are days where you might feel motivated and there's other days where you're not. But how do you build on consistency? It's changing what you feel might be internally a giant leap of faith, and instead seeing it as a jump of faith. It's realizing that believing is seen, and that one step of progress a day can change your perception from that jump of faith to instead a step of faith. Guess what? The chances of you expanding your set point to move forward in a direction that you want to take will increase when you believe it's only just a step of faith. Folks, 1 + 1 = infinity. Anything is possible. It just starts with a belief. The belief that you can, that you will. And when you take that step, you're on your way in making the impossible possible. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Send me a DM on Instagram @BenjaminYeh, or leave a comment and review if you resonate with today's episode. I would love for you to click that subscribe button to this Boom Vision podcast if you haven't already done so. Share this episode with your family, friends, or team that can truly benefit from creating new possibilities for themselves. Until next time, folks, be kind to yourself. Be in the light. Be you. Thank you so much for tuning in to my Boom Vision podcast. If you'd like to find out more about me and this podcast, head over to benjaminyeh.com. That's spelled BenjaminYeh.com. If you haven't already, click subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.